we finally got not only a good prequel, but a good movie. Now, was that so hard, George Lucas? For years on end, people said that Revenge of the Sith was the tolerable prequel. However, as the years went by, people tend to realize this is actually a really good movie. Now, I'm one of those people that always liked this movie. It was very fun to watch. It at one point was my favorite Star Wars movie, and over the years, it feels like people within their 20s and 30s have said that this is the best Star Wars movie. I will still have to say that A New Hope is my favorite. Empire was hands down the best, but third place, hands down, has got to be Revenge of the Sith. This is so good. And it's very obvious that George Lucas clearly had a great vision for it. I think his biggest focus was seeing Anakin Skywalker turn into the dark side. And it was very cool to finally see that fully come to a closure with Revenge of the Sith. I know that people hate on the prequels, particularly episode 1 and 2. And like I said, I feel like those movies could have benefited more if somebody else directed those and maybe tweaked in a couple of things. But for the most part, I mean, it doesn't take away from how brilliantly good George Lucas is. He clearly has a vision for something. It's just the payoff. And for me, I think this was his best payoff so far, outside of the OG trilogy. And what makes this movie so great? Well, for starters, it's the one that finally showed us how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. We kick off with this badass battle where Obi-Wan and Anakin are saving Emperor Palpatine from Count Dooku, but it was all a trap. In the process, Palpatine is telling um, Anakin Skywalker to end Count Dooku, and Count Dooku is looking at him like, "Are you serious? Like, dude, I work for you. What are you doing?" And Anakin just kills him right then and there, and it's basically playing with the emotions of Anakin fully going rogue and turning into the dark side. Luckily, we had a Clone Wars series that fully developed that, and Attack of the Clones did a solid job at some points to show Anakin turn to a darker Sith character, and I was very happy with that. Another scene that has stuck out for me for years has got to be that scene of Palpatine and Anakin at some like opera show, some big show going on, like and they're just sitting there talking, and Palpatine tells him the origins of his master Darth Plagueis and how the Sith aren't really all that bad, and it kind of helps Anakin after this vision of his with Padme dying at birth, because she announces that she's pregnant, and basically we kind of see where Anakin is like really worried, but he was trying to do the best for him, and he believes that Palpatine can give him that, even though he is evil. Um, Other things that have helped this is that this is gonna be where they try to take down all of the Jedi. They do, and that scene where they are killing Jedi's left and right after being betrayed by Palpatine. Um, you think that Mace Windu is gonna put an end to Palpatine. Now, there's one scene that kind of bothered me about this, where it was how Emperor Palpatine got his face the way it is, where he tries to shock Mace Windu, and then the lightsaber is stopping that, and he's getting shocked, and then Anakin realizes, okay, I gotta really help the Palpatine, and he cuts out Mace Windu and kills him off. There was that. It was just like, wow, this is it. This is where Anakin officially joins the dark side. There's even a dark scene. They don't show him slaughtering kids, but he basically just pulls out his lightsaber and basically tells you, yeah, he's gonna kill these kids. A lot of the best acting from Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker was him not talking. There's a part where he is looking out the window. Padme is sensing him from far, and that was really good acting, believe it or not. There's a fight between General Grievous and Obi-Wan. It's basically a side quest for a while, but it still doesn't take away from what a solid battle it is. I think like this battle got overshadowed by the opening act and the two big ones that we're gonna get to later on. There was that. The Wookiee planet was cool seeing Chewbacca there, even though, it was kind of weird seeing Yoda and Chewie never interact in the original trilogy, but whatever. Yay, we got Chewbacca, and we finally got a bunch of Wookiees similar to what we wanted in Return of the Jedi, not the Ewoks. Now that majority of the Jedi are taken out, the only ones left are Obi-Wan and Yoda at this point, but Obi-Wan goes out to confront Anakin after Anakin snaps at Padme like, "No, you should love me. You should love me for who I am." And Padme is like getting heartbroken. There's still some stuff that is not great about this movie. Example, Padme's acting is not the greatest, even though she'll say otherwise on SNL. It does lead to one of the greatest battles in Star Wars history, possibly the greatest battle in Star Wars history, Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Um, the whole combination is great. The fighting is great. From what I understand, the Jedi are evil, then you are lost, and it was just phenomenal fighting. They finally did a great job with this. The score was phenomenal, and it made sense for Obi-Wan to win because after all, he's the one who trained Anakin, but he didn't kill him. But they do talk about like how you were my brother, Anakin. I loved you like such. And again, if only episodes 1 and 2 really developed that chemistry with those two characters better, it would have been great. Luckily, like I said, we have the Clone Wars to save you with that. I was really happy with this battle, and then Anakin getting burned up, Obi-Wan just leaving him high and dry, and then he takes the lightsaber that he eventually gives to Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. That those little details were really great. We do also have another incredible battle within Yoda and Emperor Palpatine. I never thought I would want to see this, but it was cool to actually see Emperor Palpatine and Yoda fight. Um, and yeah, that battle was really great. Yoda, even though he just jumps around and stuff, it's still cool to see Yoda fight. And eventually, even though Palpatine wins, Yoda isn't killed off. Instead, he semi retires in a way. Of course, this all leads to Padme having the babies, naming them Luke and Leia. However, to avoid Darth Vader from finding them ever, they decided to separate the babies altogether. Bail Organa takes Leia, and then Luke goes with Uncle Owen. We get Darth Vader, and a lot of people criticize the whole no. I thought it was funny, even though it wasn't intended to. But over time, I forgave it. I don't hate it as much as the world does, and it kind of sucks, and it's unfortunate that they had to lie to Darth Vader that Padme and the kids are gone. Obviously, Padme did die, but they didn't let him know about the kids. One more thing I want to add: R2D2 and C3PO getting their memories erased. It just made you really say why were they in the prequels in the first place. I would have just written other robot characters. Plus, you would have probably sold more merch creating different characters. This does lead to like the build of the Death Star and everything, and I'm just like, wow, it's so devastating how things end. But that final shot of baby Luke being held at the sunset, similar to when Luke is looking out in the sunset in A New Hope with the same score playing, it just led you in a happy note because you knew where that was leading to. And that led to the greatest Star Wars trilogy of all time by far. Um, I love this movie. I can't hate it as much as other people do. I am aware of its problems, but I'm also aware that this movie is so much fun. They did correct things. They gave you more visuals. They gave you some of the best of Star Wars, from moments and action, everything about this. This is hands down one of Star Wars' best movies. I'm giving it an A. I don't care. I like it. We finally got to call a Star Wars movie Revenge. If you guys didn't know, George Lucas wanted to call Episode 6 Revenge of the Jedi, but it didn't make sense, so he called it Return of the Jedi, but now we call this one Revenge of the Sith. So I'm very happy that we got everything well put together in this movie. It's still a timeless movie. I was there for the 20th anniversary last year, and I'm very happy to watch it again. Those are my thoughts on Revenge of the Sith. Stay tuned tomorrow for I will talk about the aftermath of the prequel trilogy with a show that came out in Disney called Star Wars Rebels. Some of you may have heard of it. Well, I'm here to talk about it tomorrow. Take care, everybody.